Hey everyone, and welcome to the public meeting. Welcome to the Township of North Dumfries public meeting. We have 2 Committee of Adjustment applications and 2 public meeting applications for this evening. Members of the public who have registered before the registration deadline have been provided with a link to join the virtual meeting this evening and have indicated to staff which application they would like to participate in. Staff will move these individuals who have registered into the meeting to speak in the order of the applications being heard. It is due to COVID-19 and recommendations by Waterloo Regional Public Health to exercise social distancing and public gathering thresholds. Township public meetings are currently being held by teleconference. Members of the public have been provided with the following methods in which to participate or watch the meetings electronically. First is watch the live stream by accessing the meeting at calendar.northdumfries.ca/council. Under the video column, click on the link for the meeting date that you wish to watch. You do not need to be a YouTube account to watch the live stream. You cannot directly participate in the meeting via the live stream, as this is for viewing only. Second, members of the public who were interested in attending as an observer or wish to speak to an item were to submit, wish to speak to an item were to submit the request in writing to the Clerk's Division at clerk@northdumfries.ca before 7 p.m. on Monday, October 26. A link and telephone number have been provided to those who registered before the registration deadline. Thirdly, members of the public who want to comment on a particular item but were not available to attend the meeting virtually were invited to submit comments to the clerk at northdumfries.ca, which would then be provided to the mayor and council prior to the meetings. I'd now like to call the meeting to order, and can I have approval of the agenda, please?
That's moved by Councillor Gillespie, seconded by Councillor Rolliman, that Council adopt the October 27th, 2020 public meeting agenda as presented. So Mayor Foxton, your vote on that?
Yes.
Councillor Rolliman?
Yes.
Councillor Ostner?
Yes.
Councillor McCreary?
Yes.
And Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
Okay, that carries.
Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none, we're going to do adoption of the minutes, public planning minutes for September 29th.
Moved by Councillor Ostner, seconded by Councillor Rolliman, that Council approve the public meeting minutes dated September 29th, 2020. So Mayor Foxton, your vote on that?
Yes. Yes.
Councillor Rolliman?
Yes.
Councillor Ostner? Sorry, Councillor Ostner?
Yes.
Councillor McCreary?
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
Okay, that carries.
Here. Committee of Adjustment, we will do a motion to adjourn and sit as Committee of Adjustment.
Moved by Councillor Ostner, seconded by Councillor McCreary, that the council meeting be adjourned at 7:03 p.m. to sit as Committee of Adjustment for the purposes of holding public meetings pursuant to the provisions of the Planning Act. Mayor Foxton, your vote on that?
Yes.
Councillor Rolliman?
Yes.
Councillor Ostner?
Yes.
Councillor McCreary?
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
Okay, that carries.
Thank you. And now we will, Committee of Adjustment minutes dated September 29th.
Yeah, so moved by Councillor Rolliman, seconded by Councillor Gillespie, that the Committee of Adjustment approve the minutes dated September 29th, 2020. Mayor Foxton, your vote on that?
Yes.
Councillor Rolliman?
Yes.
Councillor Ostner?
Yes.
Councillor McCreary?
Yes.
And Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
Okay, that carries.
Thank you. Now we'll start the first of 4 public meetings for this evening. Staff will advise when we're ready to proceed.
Yes, we're ready.
Thank you. Report number PD 24-2020 consent application file number B-09-569 for 1904 Clyde Road. Notice was provided to those who requested notification. The Secretary Treasurer will record everyone who has commented on this application, attended and/or have registered with the Clerk's Division to attend the meeting this evening. Those individuals will be notified of the decision of convening of future meetings. I'd like to introduce Shahid Maghal, Township Planner, who will be presenting this application. Shahid?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Let me share my screen. So thank you. Tonight I'm presenting the report regarding change of condition to provisional consent approval. The application file number is B09569. The purpose of this report is to submit a recommendation for committee consideration to adopt the change of condition in addition to provisional consent granted by a committee of adjustment on October 29th. The subject property is located in Beverly area of the township, which is municipally known as 1904 Clyde Road. The property is situated at the east of the settlement of Clyde. The property is approximately 20 hectares, which is 49 acres. And in this location, the Clyde Road is owned and managed by the township of North Dumfries. The subject land is mainly surrounded by agriculture, and north part of the property is regulated by GRCA. Just to give you some background of this whole applications, basically the property owner applied for a consent application to create one new non-farm residential lot at 1904 Clyde Road. The subject property is located in Zone 1 agriculture, and the consent application fall under the Beverly policy in section 5.1-4-0.2 of the Regional Official Plan 1995, which permit the consent application to grandfather for processing. The application proposes the new lot at the southwest corner, as you can see on the map. The lot size will be 1.5 acre. The lot width will be 60 meter and lot depth will be 100 meter. On October 29th, following the due process, because the application was complying or conforming with all regional and provincial policy document and also township policy document, the Committee of Adjustment considered the proposed consent application, and notice of decision was issued, subject to some conditions. So the main condition was that the owner pay the township any outstanding taxes in full of the property. The owner have to provide the reference plan as prepared by Ontario Land Surveyor. The owner has to pay sum of $6,000 as a cash in lieu for the parkland fee. Then the owner have to pay $310 for the township administrative fee. The lot wasn't comply with the minimum lot size, so the advice has been given, or the recommendation has been given, that the zoning bylaw amendment would be need to apply. The applicant need to apply for zoning bylaw amendment as well. And prior to clearing the condition, the applicant shall satisfy the condition to satisfy of Energy Plus. The Energy Plus also provided some condition, then the applicant has to satisfy that condition. The condition must be fulfilled within 1 year of the date of written decision. Otherwise, the approval shall lapse, which is on October 29, because the decision was made on October 29th, 2019. So that was for 1 year, and the condition will be lapsed on October 29th this year. As we can see, I mean, the Planning Act, the Section 53, subsection 23, that also empowered the authority that they may change the condition of the provisional consent and anytime before a consent is given. And Section 53, subsection 26, that state the council or minister, as the case may be, is not required to give in notice under the section 24 if the council or minister's opinion the change to the condition is minor, because what we are proposing a minor change, so that's why it doesn't need any notice. As I mentioned before, the Planning Act empowered the authority to change the condition. And also, as I mentioned, the change of condition is minor and does not conflict with any condition of provisional consent approval, which was granted on October 29th, 2019. The change of condition does not change any intent of the application and will also allow enough time to fulfill the condition of provisional consent of approval to applicant or the property owner. All the original conditions to be approved from the era October 2019 would continue to apply. So what provisional condition has been applied, that will still the same. So staff is recommending that the proposed change of condition be approved in addition to the provisional consent approval granted by October 29th, 2019. And the condition is that the owner will obtain a driveway access permit from the Township of North Dumfries. If that granted, that the lapse date for the consent will be extended for 1 additional year, that will allow the owner the time necessary to clear the condition and establish the new building lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Shahid. Now the applicant would like to speak. I believe Don Graham is here. Shahid, do you want to take down your presentation, please?
Sorry, yeah.
That's all right. And Don, you're still muted. Can we get the presentation taken down, please, Tal?
Taking down, so.
So it looks like Dawn left. I'm not sure why.
All right, was there anyone here else that would like to speak on it? Seeing none, is there any members of the public who wish to make comments or ask questions? Oh, Councilor McCreary, I'll get to you next. Council's next. Anybody from the public? Seeing no one from the public, is anyone from the committee members have any questions? Councilor McCreary. Also with Shahid's display up, I cannot see Councilor Rowland or Osner. Ashley or Cynthia, can you help him get that down, please?
Yeah, we can't see you,
No.
or at least I can't see you.
I can't see you or Councilor Rowland.
I'm wondering if your screen is frozen. The presentation is off the screen. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, it's off the screen, yeah.
I have it on my screen here. I don't know why.
Your
and I don't
video
know how
is frozen.
You're
Let me-
viewing Shaheen Township's screen. I'm viewing your screen. It says
So
Shaheen.
let me share the screen again and then I'll off the screen.
Okay.
So maybe it will work.
Shahid, it's not your issue.
Oh, okay.
Whose issue is it?
Yours, Mary Foxton. For some reason, you're dark. I'm trying to work on it here.
You were darkened out during the presentation as well.
Because it says right now you are viewing Shahid McGraw Township Planner's screen. That's what it says on my computer.
Let me try to share it again and then I'll try to.
No, Shahid, please.
No?
Mayor Foxton, can you please stop your video and then start it again?
So you want me to shut it, get out and come back in?
Yes, please.
Okay, we do have Dawn who has rejoined in case there are any questions.
Shall we move forward while Mayor Foxton figures this out?
Yeah, I can, Councillor Austin, I was going to say, if you'd like to take on the deputy mayor role and keep the meeting moving, if you'd like.
Okay, we were left on.
If we do have Don Graham on, if he has any comments.
We were left at, there was no comments from any public members, is that correct?
Yeah, there's no members of the public other than Don Graham that have registered for the meeting.
Okay, are there any questions from council? Councillor McCreary.
I was just wondering why this condition was added at the 11th hour. We did approve this whole thing a year ago, and now an additional condition has been added. Is this something that we missed originally, or is something changed? Why did this come up?
CL McNeely, please.
Councillor McCreary, Mr. Graham had 1 calendar year to clear the original conditions from the October 29th, 2019 provisional approval to the original consent. Mr. Graham, partly attributed to the COVID-19 experience, did not furnish some of the necessary work, including pursuing the rezoning application. He thought that because of COVID, certain items were set aside and that the time would be extended beyond October 2020, which is not the case. Understanding the confusion, because the province back in the late spring, early summer did provide extensions to planning applications, but that had to deal with the timing of public meetings, not the clearance of conditions. So because of that confusion, staff did seek out an opinion of legal counsel as to whether or not it was legitimate to add a condition, minor in nature, that would then reset the clock and allow Mr. Graham to finalize his application. So what is put before you is a tweak to the existing provisional approval requiring a entrance permit. If the committee adds that as a new condition, it resets the clock for 1 calendar year and allows Mr. Graham the opportunity to finalize his application. The application by intent mirrors what the committee dealt with in 2019.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Since we were going to approve the lot anyway, I don't have any issues with this added condition even if it's just necessary to extend the time frame so this can be completed. Thank you.
Are there any other councillors' questions?
I'm here now, thank you. It's just Shahid's presentation has hijacked my computer, so you can't see me. I can't get all it shows me is Shahid's presentation.
So still you can still see my presentation, or?
Yeah, and I can't get my video to work. All I've got is your presentation. So are there any other questions from council in regards to this matter? Seeing none, I will call the motion, please.
So moved by Councillor Gillespie, seconded by Councillor Rolman, that the Committee of Adjustment receives PD report number 24-2020, and that consent application file B-09-569 being a request to change the condition of a provisional consent for the property at 1904 Clyde Road be approved, with all existing conditions to continue to apply. The proposed new condition is as follows. 1, that the owner will obtain a driveway access permit from the Township of North Dumfries, and that the committee adopt a recommendation that the proposed change of condition is minor in nature, and as such notice is not required to notify each person or public body required in accordance with section 53, subsection 26 of the Planning Act. That the above change of condition to the provisional consent granted by Committee of Adjustment on October 29th, 2019 must be fulfilled, and the document for conveyance certificate for consent be completed by the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee within 1 year. 1 year of the date of written decision of the revised decision date of October 27th, 2020, pursuant to section 53, subsection 17 of the Planning Act. Otherwise, the approval shall lapse. Mayor Foxton, your vote on that?
Yes.
Councillor Rollman,
Yes.
Councillor Ossner,
Yes.
Councillor McCreary,
Yes.
and Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
Okay, that carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'd like to pause now and we'll, as we move individuals in and out, and clerk, please advise when we're ready to go ahead again with the next application.
Cynthia, if you just want to let us know when everybody is in.
I still can't get, Shahid's presentation has blocked me completely and I can't get rid of it. And I didn't touch anything.
I off my screen here. I know.
It's on mine. Let's hope it doesn't happen with the next one. Are we ready?
Cynthia, are we good to go?
Yeah, Brad's just moving into the meeting right now.
Okay, thank you.
The second of the 4 public meetings for tonight, report number PD 26-2020, a minor variance application for 2636 Morrison Road. Notice was provided to those who requested notification. The Secretary Treasurer will record everyone who has comments on this application, attended and/or have registered with the Clerk's Division to attend the meeting this evening. Those individuals will be notified of the decision on the convening of future meetings. I'd like to introduce Shahid, Township Planner, who will be presenting this application. Shahid, please.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So we presented the 2636 Morrison Road minor variance application June 23rd for public meetings, and the committee has advised to recommended to get advice from the GRCA. The whole concept was the applicant is proposing accessory structure, the front yard, and according to zoning bylaw, the accessory structure cannot be allowed in a front yard and required, I mean, within 60 meters from the street line, while the applicant is proposing 5 meters. And the proposed accessory structure require, I mean, 3 meters, but the applicant is proposing 1 meter. So sorry, I didn't. So as per the previous meeting, the staff, I mean, investigated further and try to find the rationale and see, I mean, how we can how it can align the zoning bylaw on official plans. So we consulted with the GRCA, and the GRCA has suggested that if the applicant proposes the accessory structure within 30 meters, there won't be any issue. But if the applicant proposes, I mean, within 50 meters, then the environmental impact assessment will be required. So we reviewed and we saw, I mean, that the committee already approved accessory structure to neighboring property, and there's no issue. I mean, we haven't had any issue, and we didn't find any concern from the neighboring property. And the second thing is the subject property is 1.11 acre. And if we see the accessory structure is allowed almost like a 10%, but if you see the size of accessory structure, it is 0.07%, which is minor in nature in the build form. And the reduced setback from the Morrison Road street line is 5 meters, which is also minor in nature. Basically what happened, the majority of zones in the township that allow minimum like setback for 6 or 7 meters. But this is a large property, so the large setback is required just to maintain the rural character. So as when we circulated the application to adjacent property owner, no any adjacent property owner expressed their concern and comment. And the other thing is there was some concern from the building division. So the applicant also addressed the building division concerns, and they will be removing the windows from the east side of the accessory structure, and they will be providing 45 minutes fire rating. And the proposed accessory structure will comply with the construction from non-combustible construction. A grading plan will be provided on final inspection, and adequate soil will be completed. So as I mentioned, the application was also circulated to agencies and internal department, and we didn't receive any comments and concerns. The other thing is the accessory structure required sufficient distance from the neighboring property, and will be also screening because of there's enough trees there, enough landscape there. So it's also screened. There won't be any negative impact on the surrounding area or from the road. And also the applicant stated that they will provide more landscape to add aesthetic to the proposed accessory building and screening from the neighboring property. So when we presented the application June 23rd, at that time, originally the proposed street line setback was 13 feet, which is 4 meters. To meet the zoning bylaw requirement in the best effort and accommodate the proposed accessory building, the property owner has revised the setback and add in addition 1 meter to proposed property line setback. So now the proposed front line setback will be 16 feet, which is 5 meters, and which the staff believe that will have less impact than what was originally proposed, because previously they proposed 4 meters and now the applicant is proposing 5 meters. The applicant also ensured the neighborhood character will be maintained by following consistent design and principal building colors and material of the proposed accessory structure. So when we discussed with them, they mentioned that they will keep the same like a design and architecture. They will be so that it should add a value for the aesthetic point of view. So if you see the picture, to propose accessory building at the rear yard is not feasible or it's not practical. So as you can see in the rear yard, there's already a pool cabana and there's also swimming pool there. So there's no space to establish the accessory structure in the rear yard. So, and if you see the right side of the east side of the side yard, there's also steep elevation. So it won't be practical because the applicant is proposing the accessory structure for tractor, for snowmobile, and for garden yard equipments, and also storage for children toys as well. So if you see, if they use that accessory structure 4 seasons, it's not possible to put in a rear yard. As you can see in our pictures, in our rear yard, you can see the swimming pool and pool cabana. And the east side of the property, you can see the west side yard. There's no space. The side yard is blocked because of this pool cabana. So the staff is recommending to permit the accessory structure in the front yard with the provision of 5 meter property line setback from property line setback and 1 meter from the west side of the property line. Thanks.
Thank you, Saeed. Can you shut your, thank you. There, I got, now that one's down, the other one's still up, but now Brad Fraser, the owner, would like to speak, please.
I didn't really have much to say. I appreciate Shahid coming out and doing that review, and if I was left with a different option, by all means, we would do that. And the rear would be ideal because, quite frankly, I don't really want to look at it either. But, we wanted to aesthetically make it match the house, match the pool cabana, make it look like it was never here, or always here with the house.
Thank you, Brad. And the next one is Paul Schmidt. Applicant has registered to speak as if any questions. So I guess, is Paul here?
He's not in attendance.
Okay. So any members of the public wish to make any comments? Seeing no members of the public, committee. Seeing no one putting up their hands, can I, oh, Council McCreary. Go ahead, Council McCreary.
I was just wondering about putting it in the backyard. I thought after the last time this was discussed at the Committee of Adjustments, we were going to find out whether or not the GRCA would allow it to be put in the backyard, whether or not there was room in the backyard. And I'm unclear whether or not there is room there or not. I know you're saying that the cabana makes it awkward and you don't want to go around the other side of the house, but is there room in the backyard or not? That's, I'm wondering.
Shahid?
Yeah, so through Madam Mayor, Councilor McCready, so based on my visit, I found, it's not practical because the applicant, the owner, they will be using the accessory structure for tractor and for snowmobile. And you cannot access that snowmobile or tractor to the backyard, rear yard. So that's why the property owner proposing the front yard. And based on the GRC comments, they mentioned that will be problematic because in the winters, you cannot access, because if you put that accessory chair at the corner of the property, rear corner of the property, it won't be feasible and be problematic for the property owner, and it's not feasible.
CEO McNeely.
Madam Mayor, through to Councillor McCreary. The other issue is the Conservation Authority has said that the most northerly portion of the rear yard is well within the limits of the adjacent provincially significant wetland. And as such, they would not want it built in the northern portion of the rear yard because of the proximity to the feature. If you move toward the center of the rear yard, the property is fairly low and wet for most of the year. There's probably a high groundwater table intermixed with that as well. And so it'll become then problematic for a building and weight-bearing construction associated with that accessory building. So between the issue of access year-round, because the owner does wish to use it on a 4 seasons basis, and the concerns expressed by the Conservation Authority and the proximity to the adjacent wetland feature, there's actually very little, although it's a big property, there's very little practical space in terms of being able to site the accessory building. So looking at all of the options, where the owner has proposed it with the adjustments that they've made since June to present, staff believe it is the best solution. And then with the added elements of landscaping and exterior building features that the owners agreed to place on the facade and around the building, we feel that it can be blended into the streetscape and blended into the existing residence.
Any other questions, councilors? Can I have the motion, please?
So moved by Councillor McCreary, seconded by Councillor Osner, that the Committee of Adjustment receives PD report number 26-2020, and that minor variance application A-03-20, being a request to seek relief from the general zoning bylaw 689-83 to permit a reduced street line setback of 5 meters or 16 feet for a 30 square meter or 320 square feet accessory structure, where section 6.10.2 of the general zoning bylaw requires a street line setback of 16 meters and an interior side yard of 1 meter, where section 7.2.3b of the general zoning bylaw requires an interior yard setback of not less than 3 meters, be approved. Mayor Foxton, your vote on that?
Yes.
Councillor Rolliman?
Yes.
Councillor Osner?
Yes.
Councillor McCreary?
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
Okay, that carries.
It's passed.
So the next motion, please, for the adjournment of the Committee of Adjustment. Staff, do you want to move out the other speakers first? And thank you for attending, and good luck with your building.
Thank you.
So the motion, so moved by Councillor Rowland, seconded by Councillor Gillespie, that pursuant to the Planning Act, the public meeting of the Committee of Adjustment be adjourned at 7:34 p.m. and the council meeting be called back to order. Mayor Foxton, your vote on that?
Yes.
Councillor Rowland,
Yes.
Councillor Ossner,
Yes.
Councillor McCreary,
Yes.
and Councillor Gillespie.
Yes.
That carries.
Thank you. And moving to the third public meeting tonight, report number PD-22-2020, statutory public meeting, proposed zoning bylaw amendment, ZC-0520, and proposed draft plan subdivision for Cedar Creek Road 2852. Excuse me. In accordance with the Planning Act, notice was given. The clerk will record everyone who has commented on this application, attended and or have registered with the clerk's division to attend the meeting this evening. Those individuals who will be notified of the decision or convening of future meetings. I'd like Shahid once again to do the presentation. Excuse me.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So I'm presenting the application for proposed zoning bylaw amendment file number ZC05/20 and proposed draft plan of subdivision file number 30T2032. The subject property located on the north side of the Cedar Creek Regional Road 97, opposite the Highway 401, westbound on and off ramp signalized intersection, as you can see on the map. The total lot area is 29 hectare, which is 72.75 acres. And the proposed property has been utilized for aggregate extraction. The subject site is accessed through the existing signalized section, as you can see on the map, which is Highway 401 and Cedar Creek Road. The land is located within a Highway 401 and 97 employment area. As you can see on the map, east side of the property is industrial area, and at the both side of the Highway 401, east side is the industrial area, and the north side is the agriculture area. And there's also a stormwater management pond or the northeast corner of the adjacent property. And this stormwater management to the northeast to accommodate the overland flow generated by Wanless Court Industrial Area. So we reviewed the provincial policies, both provincial policy statement and the growth plan for Greater Golden Horseshoe talk about the same thing, that they support economic development within employment area. They also providing opportunity for diversified economy. They also promote and they encourage the maintain and range and choice of suitable sites for employment uses and make more efficient use of existing employment areas. So we also reviewed the regional official plan, the proposed zoning bylaw amendment consistent with the policy 2F of the regional official plan, which is, and the area is within Highway 401, Regional Road 97 employment area. And if you see the regional official plan, map 3E, the subject site designated as a prime industrial strategic reserve unserviced land. So land within this designation are intended to provide additional opportunities for employment growth and business development within township of North Dumfries. And if you see the policy 2.F.2 of the official plan, that's also designate that that also state the land in this designation will be developed as parcel greater than 8 hectares in size, unless otherwise compromised by such consideration as design limitation associated with the environmental features, property configuration, the provision of new local road or existing development. So when we see the township official plan, again, following the regional official plan, we have a same policy, and the land is located with the Highway 4190, Regional Road 97 employment area, and they following this policy 8-hectare lot size. The township also following the same policy. And if you see the regional official plan, the township official plan.
Shahid, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was wondering, can all of council just see the cover slide of Shahid's presentation? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Shahid, I'm going to see if I can share my screen to do the presentation. I think there's a few. Okay, one moment. Can you stop sharing your screen?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys, I was muted. Chris, would you like to make any comments?
I'd like for Shahid to finish his presentation.
I'm sorry,
Madam
I thought
Mayor.
he was done.
Thank you.
Shahid, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Shahid.
So should I share my screen now, or no?
I'm just trying to
because
share.
Cynthia is sharing.
Yes, I'm just getting that up. One moment.
Shahid, we're having problems with your internet feed. So we're going to be loading up and doing the presentation feed through Cynthia's screen.
Okay.
Yeah, slideshow.
Cynthia, if you slideshow and then.
Okay. Are we able to see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let
Can
me
you,
know what.
Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, again, next. Next slide, please. Yeah, so, when we see the township official plan is anticipate additional employment of 1,870 to meet the official plan target and employment forecast 8,700 by 2031. So it's mean that still we need space for employment area or employment land, which accommodate 1,870 employment. Next slide, please. So if you see the zoning bylaw, township zoning bylaw, that currently the subject property is zoned as zone 14 aggregate extraction, and the applicant is proposing zone change from zone 14 mineral aggregate extraction to zone 11, which is industrial. Zone 11 permit specific user listed as zone 9 as well, which is to provide manufacturing, packaging, assembly, production, warehousing, storage of goods, and products characterized by large physical size and production volume and intensity of use. So it's zone 11 provide variety of uses in an industrial area. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, the applicant, he submitted the application for subdivision and rezoning. So if you see the subdivision concept plan, so the applicant is proposing 4 lots, as you can see on the left side of my screen. So the applicant proposing 4 lots, 3 lots comprising a minimum lot size of 7.17 hectare, and the 4th lot will be 3.3 hectare, as you can see on the screen. So the lot 4 area 3.3 hectares is proposed to be added, merged into the abutting land holding to the immediate south, either through a future land line adjustment or through a plan of subdivision. And if you see my right side, I'm in right side of the screen. This is the second option. So there's also negotiation going on between township and the property owner. So there's a proposal to propose to consolidate the stormwater pond, which is, as you can see on the screen, there's already existing stormwater management pond. There's a proposal to consolidate this stormwater management pond to lot 2 or 3, and that the lot size of 2 or 3 will be 8 hectares. And that stormwater management pond will be shifted to the west side of the west north corner of the property, and which is block 5. That stormwater management facility block 5 located in the northeast corner, the property will increase, the property would be increased in size of 2 hectares to 2.87 hectares. So the stormwater management pond size will be increased 2.6 hectares to 2.87 hectares. And if you see the concept plan, there's also a new access proposed, which will directly connected to the Highway 401 and Cedar Creek intersection, signalized intersection. Next slide, please. So to implement this subdivision, the zoning bylaw amendment will be required. As I mentioned, the applicant proposes to zone change the property from zone 14 to zone 11. It is proposed that existing stormwater management pond facility be changed from zone 11, which you have seen the northeast corner of the property. So that will be also changed from zone 1 to zone 11. And the new access will be directly connected to the existing Highway 401 Cedar Creek Road intersection, which you have seen on the map. And there's no comments and concern from the MTU, and traffic impact assessment also support that new access. So there'll be also suggestion holding so symbol affixed to the zone classifications, which allow the municipality to phase the release of the development subject to the clearance of condition. There's a 2 condition. One is execution of subdivision agreement, and the second condition, release of aggregate license by Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. And the zone 11 classification for the property may include matters such as minimum lot size of 8 hectares, because the official plan or regional official plan and township official plan required 8 hectare lot size. And the development is proposed to be serviced by the private well and septic system as well. Next slide, please. So we also circulated the application to adjacent property owner, and also sent a referral to internal department and external agencies. So we didn't receive any comments and concern from the general public, and also from any department and agency. As you can see, the Ministry of Transportation, they don't have any objection, concern. Grand River Conservation Authority doesn't have any concern. Next slide, please. Regional municipality also, they don't have any objection. However, they provided some comments focusing on the concept plan. So still the concept plan is under review. And for future comments and assessment will be including in the next report to the council. We also circulated that the application to Energy Plus, so they didn't express any concern, and they provided some standard comments. Waterloo Catholic District School Board, they expressed no concern. Next slide, please. So staff in consideration future report on the merit of the application. They also consider some points, and when we see that point on the screen, you can see on the screen as well. All comments and correspondence received during the consultation process, we will consider that point, the comments and concern we received through this meeting, or if any comments received from general public or agencies. And we also consider the effect of the development, and we also consider the matter of provincial interest matter regarding transportation system, the promoting opportunity for economic development, protecting and preserving the natural environment, and promoting diversification of economy base and employment opportunity. And we also consider the points regarding the protecting and diversity and connectivity of the natural features and area, and the protection of life and property from hazardous land impacted by flooding and erosion hazard as well. So we will also consider the proposed applications confirmed with the township official plan. And we will also consider if the proposed application desirable for the property, compatible with the adjacent uses, maintain the character of the area. We also see, are the proposed zone classification suitable for the property? We will also see what specific provisions are required to address the future intended use of the subject land, traffic circulation, point of ingress and egress of the development. What are the impact of the traffic from proposed development on this property? And we will also consider the appropriate mechanism to address requirements such as drainage, grading, site servicing, stormwater management, production of natural features, tree, and compatibility with the area. We will also consider the utilization of the holding symbol. And as I mentioned, that there'll be 2 holding symbols will be affixed on the land. One is the release of the aggregate extraction, and the second one is the development agreement. Next slide, please. So staff is recommending that all comments and correspondence received from member of public and government agency through consultation process be returned to staff for future report to council on the disposition of this matter. Thanks.
Chris Pigeon, if you'd like to now speak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. I have a very brief PowerPoint presentation. I ask to be loaded up, please. Shahid has covered almost all of my points.
So who's loading the presentation?
Okay, I will be, just give me a moment.
Thank you, Cynthia.
You're welcome.
So while that's loading, council will obviously remember a month ago, we were here presenting the taco block application. So this is I guess the other half of the story, so to speak, in that there really is a partnership between Millgate Holdings and Teco Block.
Okay, can everybody see the presentation?
Yes, thank you, Cynthia. Yeah, so Chris Pigeon on behalf of Millgate Holdings. Gateman Malloy is the parent company. Next slide, please, Cynthia. So just, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the ownership and a little bit more of the background on the revisions to the plan. And I think everything else has been covered by Shahid. So if you could skip ahead to 2 or 3 slides, Cynthia, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this property, of course, is surrounded by industrial and agricultural uses, and Township Council will recall that this property was considered as a part of the Region of Waterloo Initiative for Strategic Industrial Reserve process. Also was dealt with as the East Side lands in a partnership between the Township of North Dumfries, the region, City of Cambridge, and the City of Kitchener to identify large blocks of land, 8 hectares as a minimum, or 40 acres, to be shovel ready for economic development opportunities. Next slide, please. As Shahid has indicated, so in June of 2020, we submitted this draft plan of subdivision along with the zone change, and the purpose was to create these 3 industrial blocks. on a cul-de-sac and to relocate the stormwater management pond. Next slide, please. And then along came Teckle Block, which council saw a month ago. So this is phase one of Teckle Block's development proposal. Again, it's 95,000 square feet, 100 new jobs. They're a cultured stone manufacturer. This property is going through, in parallel, a zone change application to rezone it from extraction to general industrial. And that partnership relates to the access. Next slide, please. And as a part of that process, Teckle Block wants to plan for an ultimate phase two. So they've entered into a letter of intent because they cannot enter into an agreement of purchase and sale as of yet because the Millgate subdivision has not been approved, but they have entered into a letter of intent to purchase 7.5 additional acres as a lot addition, as Shahid has indicated, and that would allow them to expand beyond phase one to a phase two to double their manufacturing capacity. As a result, then we've revised the draft plan of subdivision to reflect the 4 industrial blocks that are shown. One is a lot addition, and the other 3 blocks are just shy of the 8 hectare maximum, or minimum, I should say, that's required by the region. Next slide, please. And there you can see the 3 blocks, the lot addition, the new stormwater management block. Next slide, please. So the agreement that we have been able to reach, again, I would say it is a partnership between Millgate Holdings, Teckle Block, the Region of Waterloo, MTO, and of course the township, is to provide a temporary access to Teckle Block using the existing access to the gravel pit, which is where there will be a future township road, which is the cul-de-sac shown in this plan of subdivision. So we actually have received MTO approval for that temporary access permit, subject to an easement over that cul-de-sac. And the easement document has been shared between and signed off between Teckle Block and Millgate, and the reference plan is currently being prepared. Next slide, please. So this just shows from an air photo perspective, you can see the existing condition. At the signalized intersection, the access goes down and into the gravel pit. So that will provide access to Teckle Block, and then ultimately there will be a future township road allowance constructed to township standards at that intersection, and that's that cul-de-sac in the plan of subdivision. Next slide, please. And we can skip this slide. Shahid's covered the rezoning application. And we can skip this slide. This is just the technical reports that have been prepared. Maybe just 2 quick highlights. So we did a traffic impact study. It was combined with Teckle Block's truck counts. All of the intersections were evaluated and were deemed to operate at acceptable levels of service. There are some recommendations in this report that will result in some integration of left turn lanes and some road widenings, and that's being conducted in partnership with MTO. So we're working closely with MTO to make sure that those road improvements do not interrupt the free flow of traffic across the overpass, so Cedar Creek Road, Highway 97, and also don't interrupt the ramp terminus for both southbound and northbound off of Highway 401. Next slide, please. And then this graphic just simply indicates that we had Walter Fady do stormwater management review. The existing stormwater management pond owned by the township services the industrial road subdivision. And you can see around the north edge, we would create a swale, which would take the drainage from the industrial road subdivision and relay it to a new state-of-the-art enlarged stormwater management pond which would allow us then to remove the existing stormwater management pond. So there wouldn't be two. There would in fact be one brand new pond that will ultimately be in township ownership, subject to negotiated deal with Millgate between the township on the disposition of the existing storm pond. Next slide, please. And on that basis, I'd be pleased to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Next, I believe Matthew Connolly from the region of Waterloo is registered to speak.
Hi there. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just here more so to listen in, but the region, the township, GSP and MTO have been very involved in this application and trying to get it moving forward. I know there's provincial funding associated with this application, and we've been sorting out this signalized access with MTO. As had been mentioned by Shahid in his presentation, currently based on the updated concept plan that includes a lot addition to the Techo block site, the existing lots within the Millgate or proposed Millgate subdivision don't meet the regional, the official plan policy of an 8-hectare minimum in the industrial strategic reserve lands. As though Shahid and Chris have both mentioned, there is discussions between Millgate and the township to purchase and integrate the lands in the northeast corner of the proposed subdivision, which is currently the township swim pond, into the lands to be used for the future plan of subdivision. In that case, that would allow these lots to meet the 8-hectare threshold that is required by the regional official plan. The region is still looking to the township, I guess through CAO McNeely, as to the status of those discussions. The region is in receipt of an updated concept plan that includes that swim block, which has not been circulated or commented on this time, as these discussions are still being held. The region is acceptable to this process and this application. We just need to ensure that the regional official plan policies are being met and that this new updated concept plan is going to be moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. And now, members of council, any questions? Councillor Ruleman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I guess, to Chris Pigeon. My concern has to do with, of course, with the stormwater management pond and the swales. I'm wondering, will these swales be conveyed to the township in an easement, or is it become township property? How are we going to deal with the maintenance of these swales in the future? Because I know that swales have a habit of being filled in, and the stormwater management pond is being moved quite far away from Industrial Road subdivision from Wanless Court. So I'm just wondering what sort of, what do we have in this deal to take care of the maintenance of those swales going forward?
Madam Mayor, so we haven't worked out those details, but at this point, we are not showing the swales in a separate block that would be conveyed to the township. So I would anticipate there will be an easement registered on title, and it will become the responsibility of the property owner. And that'll be dealt with through a subdivision agreement, also registered on title.
Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Gillespie. Councillor Gillespie.
Yes, I was just wondering, why did they have to move the pond in the first place?
Well, that's a brilliant question. It's because the pond is actually higher than the base, than the lowest part of the gravel pit. So we're actually lowering the new pond to a lower elevation, but we will capture the drainage from that existing pond in that swale system into a lower pond. So we enlarge the pond, and we are able to capture all of the existing drainage from the industrial subdivision, the existing industrial subdivision, the Techo block site, and the new subdivision in one single pond, but it's at a lower elevation.
Thank you.
And any other questions? Seeing none, can I have the...
Sorry to interrupt, Madam Mayor. I do have one question, if possible.
Go ahead.
Just through you to CAO McNeely. I have spoken to Chris Pigeon on the discussions that are occurring with incorporating or purchasing the township swim block. I guess I'll just, in terms of the township's position or what has occurred on this to date, just as the region and township have yet to confer on this. I understand if it can be offline or whatnot. I just guess I'm curious as to the township's position on the proponent purchasing the township swim block, as I know this has been discussed at length.
Matthew, all I can share to you or with you at this time is that it's it's in progress, and it'll have to be presented to council in a final manner. And if those terms or framework are acceptable to council, then it'll be presented to GSP as a formal submission.
Thank you,
Perfect.
CEO McNeely. Are there
Thank
any
you.
other questions? Seeing none, can I have the motion, please?
Moved by Councillor McCreary, seconded by Councillor Rowland, that report number PDE-22-2020 be received, and that all comments and correspondence received through the consultation process be returned to staff for further consideration in a future report to council on the disposition of this matter. Mayor Foxton, your vote on that?
Yes.
Councillor Rowland,
Yes.
Councillor Osner,
Yes.
Councillor McCreary,
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie.
Yes.
Okay, that carries.
Thank you. And now we will clear people out again, please. Move people in and out.
Is that everybody?
Yes.
Thank you, Cynthia. Moving into our last public meeting for this evening, report number PD 23-2020, a statutory public meeting, proposed zoning bylaw amendment ZC-03/20 for 1662 Alps Road. In accordance with the Planning Act, notice was given. The clerk will record everyone who has commented on this application, attended and/or have registered with the clerk's division to attend this meeting this evening. Those individuals will be notified of the decision or the convening of future meetings. And I'd like to now introduce Shahid Magal, planner, who will be presenting on this application. Shahid.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Cynthia, are you going to share screen or
Yes, I can.
can I, do you want me to share the screen?
Yeah, you can try.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'm presenting the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application file number ZC-03-20 for 1662 Alps Road. So the subject land is located on the north side of the Alps Road and is municipally known as 1662 Alps Road, as you can see on the screen. The north side and north, east and west side have a already existing aggregate pits, and the south side of the property is consisting on agricultural land. The total property is 40 hectare in size, and which has a direct frontage onto Alps Road between Dumfries Road and Edwardy Side Road. Next slide, please. Sorry, I'm using my screen. So just to give you some background, if you see on the screen, the subject site is within the agriculture area, and southwest portion of the property is identified as an environmental constraint area, which the key natural heritage features such as significant woodland, wildlife habitat, and area of natural and scientific interest. If you see the northeast portion of the property that's also consisting on a woodland and wildlife habitat area. And if you see the south property line of the south side of the property line, there's also an existing farm building. There's also an existing farm building. The feature on the site were found to have a cultural heritage value and landscape on this portion. So staff has reviewed the provincial policies and regional policies as well. All policies, they talk about for example, on the prime agricultural land, extraction of mineral aggregate resources permitted as an interim use, provided that site will be rehabilitated back to an agriculture condition. So all provincial policy document or all regional policy documents or township policy document, they all talk about the same thing, that after extraction, aggregate extraction, the property be rehabilitated back to the agriculture condition. And this application aligned with the provincial policy statement, growth plan for Greater Golden Horseshoe, and the regional official plan as well. And the regional official plan also state that there will be no adverse environmental impact to the environmental features and ecological function and connectivity of the residual area of the core environmental feature. And the extraction of mineral aggregate resources will be completed, and the area will be rehabilitated as early as possible in the life of the operation. So all talk about the same thing, rehabilitate back to the agriculture condition and also economic development as well. The township official plan. So if you see the map 8 of official plan, that designate the land as a mineral aggregate resources, and the subject property also, or the proposed development also align with the policy 5.2.81, 5.2.83. And as I mentioned before, that basically official plan, township official plan also align with the regional official plan. And again, they talk about the same thing, the property after aggregate extraction should be rehabilitated back to the original agriculture condition. And if you see the zoning bylaw, currently the property is zoned as agriculture, but the northeast portion of the property, as you can see on map, there's a small portion that zoned as a zone 12, B, which is an environmental protection. And there's also a rural Z1 with exception 20.1.320. So the exception 20.1320 identified state that the rural zone Z1 may also be used for transportation of aggregate material from Alpspit to the Cedar Creek Road. Before, there was also the township also granted zoning for 2 applications from the east side Alpspit and the north side of the property or Cedar Creek Pit. So at that time, they also zoned as they put it as exception on the property, which you can use for the transportation of aggregate material from Alpspit to Cedar Creek Pit. As I mentioned, the applicant proposes to change the zone from zone 1 agriculture to zone 14 mineral aggregate. The existing zoning 12B environmental protection will remain as zone 12B, recognizing the environmental features, and there will be no extraction occur on this zone Z12B. The applicant also proposed specific provisions to zone 1 agriculture and zone 12B, subject to certain restrictions identified within a part 1 of the zone, part 1 to 5 of the Schedule A, which they submitted with the application, the draft bylaw. So if we see, the draft bylaw, the sketch you can see on the screen, the part 1 and 2 identified as a zone 1 agriculture, and they also, this zone 1 agriculture proposed to rezone zone 14 to mineral aggregate extraction, part 1 and part 2. But upon the surrender of the Aggregate Resources Act license, part 2 will be zoned to zone 12, environmental protection, as you can see on the map. As I mentioned, that south side of the property line, which you can see as a part 3, that also identified contain the cluster of farm building. That section will be prohibited on part 3. So as I mentioned, the west-south portion of the property is identified as an environmental features area, and the extraction within this part 4 will be also prohibited. It's all because to protect and preserve the natural environment. And the applicant will be also provided 10-meter setback from the production to prohibit this extraction. As I mentioned before, there's a small portion on the northeast side of the property, which identified as a part 5, and extraction within the part 5 will be also prohibited, as they want to protect and preserve that natural environment. So that, as I mentioned, that the total property is 48 hectare. The land proposed to be licensed under the Aggregate Act is 40 hectare, and the proposed extraction will be 30.6 hectare. As I mentioned that before, they're trying to preserve the natural environment, and they have put some restrictions on the future development on that that identified from part 1 to 5. So the proposed aggregate pit referred to as a shaded pit. So the proposed pit will be used for existing. You will be using the existing entrance, as you can see on the map. So at the time of approval, Cedar Creek pit and Alps pit, they also provided the exception, as I mentioned before, and you can use that northeast corner of the property for transport aggregate material. And this access will be also using for the shaded pit, which is the proposed aggregate extraction site. And there will be no access from the Alps Road. So they will be using the Cedar Creek Road. And the other thing is the proposed shaded pit aggregate extraction will be also 1.5 meter above the established ground table, so there won't be any issue. There's also identified some cultural heritage feature, so and the applicant tried to protect and preserve that area to maintain the archaeological resources values and the assets. The proposed hours of operation of this shaded pit will be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday, and Saturday 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. excluding statutory holidays. So we also circulated the applications to agencies and departments and adjacent property owners. So we didn't receive any comments and concerns from the adjacent property owners and general public. So the regional municipality Waterloo, as the application is also under review by region of Waterloo, and they will be providing comments and details comment, and that the staff will add that comments in our future report. GRCA did not express any concern comments. So we also circulated the application to the Heritage Advisory Committee. So Heritage Advisory Committee expressed no comments concern. Ecological and Environmental Advisory Committee of Regional Municipality of Waterloo, they didn't express any concern. GRC expressed no concern. Energy Plus, they provided standard comments, and they don't have any concern comments regarding this application. So staff also staff will be considering some points for the future report and whatever comments we will receive from this meeting and we receive from member of public and agency, we will consider that comments in the future report. We will also consider the matter of provincial interest regarding protection, preservation of natural environment, promoting opportunity for economic development, protecting the diversity and connectivity of natural features and area. And again, the same thing, future habilitation of the land to be returned back to the prime agriculture area. through progressive and comprehensive rehabilitation plan. And we will also see whether the development confirm with the township official plan as well. We will also see if the proposal is desirable for the property, and incorporating the appropriate mitigation measure to provide the protection of adjacent use and properties, traffic circulation, ingress and egress, cumulative impact of additional aggregate operation in area. Again, the same thing, rehabilitation of sites so that it can be returned to productive agriculture condition, and also confirming that the groundwater hydrology during the operation of pit does not negatively impact base flow conditions to adjacent wetland, watercourse, or other natural area or woodlands, or adjacent private wells of natural residents and agriculture operations. So staff recommending that all the comments and correspondence received from member of public and government agencies through consultation process be returned to staff for future report to council on disposition of this matter. Thanks.
Thank you, Shahid.
Is your screen working now? Or?
I beg your pardon?
Madam Mayor, can you see my screen now? Is off my presentation?
No,
now?
I still have your first presentation on my screen. I can't get rid of it. We'll worry about that later. I believe, Brian, you have a presentation?
Yes, Madam Mayor. It'll just be 1 second to upload. Just before I start, can everyone see the screen? And everyone can hear me okay? Okay. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, and residents that have joined us this evening. My name is Brian Zeman. I'm a land use planner from MHBC that has been assisting Dufferin Aggregates with its application for the proposed Chuddick Pit. As council may have seen, Kevin Mitchell from Dufferin Aggregates has also joined the meeting tonight. First off, I would like to thank Mr. McGuell for his presentation, and I'll try to avoid overlap between our presentations this evening. The first slide is just a context slide for the location of the proposed pit application. The proposed pit Chuddick Pit is shown in the red as a subject site. The dark purple lands are the Dufferin, Cedar Creek, and Elps Pit, and the light purple lands are other licensed pits within the areas. Just in general, it is located within the rural area of the township. It's located to the west of Cambridge and the south of Kitchener. I did mention earlier the Cedar Creek and Elps Pit, and just for a reminder for Council for North Dumfries, these applications were approved by North Dumfries Council in August 2017, and the Aggregate Resources Act license were ultimately issued for these sites in 2019. At the time of the previous application, when the Cedar Creek and Elps Pit were going through the process, Dufferin did make North Dumfries and the public aware of the Chuddick property and let everyone know that a future application would be coming forward. The application was not submitted concurrently with the previous application, solely based on the timing the company took ownership of the property and the time needed to complete the required testing, fieldworks, and studies to bring forward a complete application. Before I get into the details of the proposed Chuddick Pit, during the review of the previous application, council members did make some comments in regard to some concern over the lifespan of existing pits in the area, a feeling that rehabilitation was never completed and sites ultimately weren't returned to a productive after use. Just for councils, Dufferin Aggregates, they do have an excellent track record of extracting sites in a timely manner, completing progressive rehabilitation, and turning sites back into a productive after use. On behalf of Dufferin, I just wanted to provide council an update on the status of two of Dufferin's former pits, the Brown Pit and the Butler Pit, that were located within your township. The Brown Pit, which is up on the screen today, had a total lifespan of 14 years, was acquired by Dufferin in 2004, and in 10 years, Dufferin completed extraction, rehabilitated the site, and the pictures show the rehabilitated areas of the pit that have been now returned to active agricultural, and the top right corner showing a natural heritage end use for a wetland that was created. Similarly, the Butler Pit, it was licensed in the 1980s and was expanded in 2009. Dufferin became the operator of this pit in 2004, finalized operations and rehabilitation, and surrendered the license in 2019. And now this site is being used also for active agriculture. With regards to the proposed Chuddick Pit, as mentioned earlier, the subject site is 40.4 hectares, of which 30.6 hectares is proposed for extraction. The proposed operation would be operated as an integrated operation with the Cedar Creek and Elves Pit. An important aspect of the proposed Chuddick Pit, it has been designed to proactively address and include all of the agency conditions that were required related to the approval of the Cedar Creek and Elves Pit. And the following is just a high-level summary of the proposed pits, and more detail is included on the detailed Aggregate Resource Act site plans for the site. But similar to the Cedar Creek and Elps Pit, the Chuddick Pit is limited to above water table extraction. The main processing plant and the shipping to market for the Chuddick Pit will occur on the existing Cedar Pit located to the north. And this will avoid multiple processing areas and entrance exits locating within the three properties. To reduce noise and air impacts, the aggregate from the Chuddick Pit will be transferred by a conveyor to the Cedar Creek Pit to avoid the use of pit trucks to transport the material on site. And there will be no shipping from the proposed Chuddick Pit, and the application does not propose to increase the amount of trucks that are already permitted to use the Cedar Creek entrance exit, which is shown in the yellow arrow at the north end of the slide. The application itself has been thoroughly studied, and all the reports required by the township and the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry were completed and submitted to the agencies for review. As I mentioned earlier, these studies proactively address the township's previous comments on the Cedar Creek and Elves Pit to ensure the pits are operated in a similar manner with the controls in place that the township previously requested to minimize impacts on the natural environment and surrounding community. As part of the review, I want to ensure council and the members of the public that there is an extensive agency review being undertaken currently to ensure the application complies with all applicable provincial, regional, and township requirements. And the following is a summary of some of the agencies that are actively reviewing the application, as well as the Region of Waterloo that have retained peer reviewers to do an independent assessment of the noise, agricultural impact assessment, air quality report, and cultural heritage report. The proposed pit is where the township anticipates and plans for new mineral aggregate operations. In the Region of Waterloo and the Township of North Dumfries official plan, the site is identified as a mineral aggregate resource area. What this ultimately means is the region and township official plans protect this area for future extraction. The proposed pits are permitted use in these official plans, and regional and local official plan amendments are not required. There is, however, a zoning bylaw amendment that is required, and that application is also required to conform and be consistent with the various provincial planning documents, as well as the Region of Waterloo official plan and the Township of North Dumfries official plan. As mentioned earlier, the site is identified as being within a prime agricultural area and is currently used for agricultural purposes. As was referenced earlier, provincial, regional, and township policies permit extraction as an interim use on prime agricultural land, provided the site is rehabilitated back to an agricultural condition. A rehabilitation plan for the proposed pit has been designed to maximize the area to be returned to prime agricultural land, which will include the importation of some clean inert fill to return portion of the site to natural grade, while also enhancing portion of the site for the natural environment. The site is surrounded by agricultural uses, existing gravel pits, and some rural residential properties. The focus of the technical studies have been designed to ensure the pit has been appropriately designed to minimize impact on surrounding land uses and meet the Ministry of Environment standards for noise and air quality, and to ensure that surrounding residential wells are protected. The main conclusions of these studies are surrounding wells will not be impacted since extraction is to remain above the water table, and there's a comprehensive monitoring program in place to verify this throughout the operation. The operation also includes a restriction on the amount and a location of equipment permitted on site to ensure that the ministry's limits for noise and air quality will be met. The operation has been designed with acoustic berms where required, and the operation includes a best management plan to mitigate dust on site. The subject site and surrounding area are within the Dumfries Carolinian environmentally sensitive landscape. An environmental impact study has been completed, and there are no core environmental features located within the proposed extraction area. The proposed extraction area is ultimately active agricultural land that is used for crop production. Although there are no natural heritage features within the proposed extraction area, there are surrounding natural heritage features, and there will be no negative impact to these features based on the following. The primary mitigation measure is avoidance to ensure that the features are not included in the proposed extraction area. And the secondary mitigation measures are to establish appropriate buffers to protect their ecological features and functions, maintaining the operations above the water table, use of silt fencing to protect surrounding natural features, a detailed phasing of the operation to include progressive and final rehabilitation. And as was mentioned earlier, the Grand River Conservation Authority has no concerns with the application, and the Ecological EAC Committee does not have any objection to the application proceeding, but their decision for the committee is deferred until later in November. A comprehensive rehabilitation plan has been prepared for the Chuddick Pit, taking into account the approved rehabilitation plans that are already in place for the Cedar Creek and Elps Pit. As shown on this figure, the majority of the site will be returned to an agricultural use. That's sort of the beige color that's within the proposed sites. But on the periphery of the sites, you'll see various colors of green, yellow, brown. These are ecological enhancements that are already as part of the rehabilitation plan for the Cedar Creek Pit and Elps Pit. And the Chuddick Pit has been designed in an integrated manner to ensure a comprehensive rehabilitation approach for the three properties. On the proposed Chuddick Pit, these enhancements will result in expansion of the Elps Wood environmental area by 2.6 hectares, creation of 3 hectares of new woodland, creation of 1.8 hectares of new tallgrass prairie and savanna habitats, and creation of a 1.4 hectare ecological link that will improve connectivity between the Elps Wood and the Cedar Edworthy environmental features. Of these enhancements, 1 hectare will occur in the short term, since that area is not proposed for extraction, and the remainder will be completed as part of progressive rehabilitation of the site. Overall, the rehabilitation plan will result in increased tree cover, improved connectivity, improved wildlife habitat, increased biodiversity compared to existing conditions. The proposed pit will utilize an existing haul route on a regional road and will utilize an existing approved entrance exit. There will be no truck traffic on Elps Road. And as mentioned earlier, the application does not change or increase the maximum amount of trucks that are currently permitted to use the Cedar Creek entrance exit. As Ms. Miguel went through, the proposed zoning has been carefully structured to reflect the township's previous approval of the Cedar Creek and Elps Pit. Instead of just zoning the entire site of it as extractive industrial, which is typical in other municipalities, this site has been designed with various parts. And as mentioned, parts 3 and 4 are zoned to prohibit extraction, and the remaining parts of the site will be zoned to allow for extractive industrial uses. But however mentioned earlier, part 2 will be zoned to, this is where the ecological enhancements will occur as part of rehabilitation of the site. And they're zoned to automatically revert to an environmental protection zoning once the ARA license is surrendered to ensure these areas will be protected for the long term. Tonight is an important night in the process to provide council and members of the public an overview of the proposed application. But prior to a report coming back to council for a decision, there is additional agency and public review that is ongoing currently. This slide contains a high-level summary of the next steps involved in the application, and Dufferin is hopeful to work with the agencies and public and address any technical questions that arise based on the review and be back to council within hopefully 6 months to have a decision on the zoning application if all the technical reviews are completed by that time. So this evening, I'd like to thank council for the opportunity to present, and I'm available to answer any questions from members of council and Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't see that there's any members of the public registered. Councillors, any questions? Can you remove your presentation, please? Thank you.
Did we get that successfully? Thank you.
Any members of council wish any comments? Seeing none. I have to say that Kevin and Dufferin has a great reputation in rehabilitating pits, and I hope that this will be like the few others that you've done. And if you want to do any more in the township, we'd more than appreciate it. Can I have the motion, please?
Moved by Councillor McCreary, seconded by Councillor Rowland, that report number PD 23-2020 be received, and that all comments and correspondence received through the consultation process be returned to staff for further consideration in a future report to council on the disposition of this matter. Mayor Foxton, your vote on that?
Yes.
Councillor Rowland?
Yes.
Councillor Osner?
Yes.
Councillor McCreary?
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
Okay, that carries.
Thank you. And now we'll wait till our staff allow the others to exit. Have a good evening, gentlemen. And that looks like we've got everybody gone. So now we will move on to confirmatory bylaw, please.
Moved by Councillor Gillespie, seconded by Councillor Rowland, that bylaw number 3197-20, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council on October 27th, 2020, be read a first, second, third time and be finally passed, signed, and sealed by the mayor and clerk. Mayor Foxton, your vote on that?
Yes.
Councillor Rowland?
Yes.
Councillor Osner?
Yes.
Councillor McCreary?
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
Okay, that carries.
Thank you. And now we will do the adjournment.
Moved by Councillor McCreary and seconded by Councillor Osner, that whereas business before this public planning meeting has been completed at 8:37 p.m. and be it resolved that this meeting adjourns and meets again on Monday, November 9th at 6 p.m. for Committee of the Whole. Mayor Foxton, your vote on that?
Yes.
Councillor Rowland?
Yes.
Councillor Osner?
Yes.
Councillor McCreary?
Yes.
And Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
Okay, that carries and we are adjourned.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much. And we will see you again. It's been a long